If you ever heard of the term crabs in a bucket, it's actually something that's common in the shrimping industry or the fishing industry, where the fishermen would take a bunch of crabs and put them in a bucket just to kind of separate them from whatever else they're working on. And they noticed that if a crab tries to climb out of the bucket, the other crabs try to pull it back into the bucket and prevents it from escaping. And so that's why they don't put a lid on a crab bucket. They don't need to worry about crabs getting out of it, even though they're well capable of it. So the reason why they do that is because the crabs see another crab leaving, and they feel like they're leaving the rest of the crabs and they're going to be alone. So they don't, just like humans, we don't want to be alone. Crabs have this weird thing that they just don't want to be alone, so they pull them back into the bucket. Well, the same thing can happen in business. So if you're trying to start a business or you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, and you have a job and you have coworkers, and you start talking about, like, I want to start this business, and I want to be free of the 9 to 5. Well, be very careful, because some of those coworkers, though they mean well for you, subconsciously they might start to act differently. And I'll give you an example. Um, so if someone was trying to start a business and they say, hey, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to make this much more money and all this. Well, the coworkers, their friends, maybe at lunch, they would start to talk them out of it. Subconsciously start to talk their friend. You know what? Yeah, it's 9 out of 10 businesses fail within the first few years. You don't want to do that to yourself. You're going to miss your friends here and all this. And that person starts to believe that, nah, it's not worth it. I guess my coworkers are right. I shouldn't want to strive for more. I'm just going to stick it out and get a retirement and just live the rest of my life. Well, this is my point. Be very careful who you hang out with, because just like Jim Rohn says, you're going to be the average of the 5 closest friends that you have. So the ones that you hang out with, the coworkers and your friends, you're going to start to get the average of their mentality. So if most of them think, no, it's not worth it to start a business, it's too risky, all this, well, that's what you're going to start to think. So pick your friends very wisely. If you want to start a business, if you want to go out on your own, make sure you pick friends that have the same mindset as you, who are encouraging. So if you have a desire to go off and have a business, pick friends that are entrepreneurial minded, okay, which means they don't want to have a 9 to 5, if at all, for very much longer. So pick the friends that are, risk takers, are, calculated risk takers, the ones that, say, hey, I want to start this business. I want to use my craft and make something out of my life. And then you'll start to notice that it's a lot easier to break free from your job, your 9 to 5, whatever you're doing. And not to say that, the 9 to 5 is bad or anything like that. Some people, that's what they like, that's what they want to do, and that's great. But if you want to have your own business, you want to be an entrepreneur, pick your friends wisely. Pick your coworkers that you hang out with at lunchtime wisely, because those are going to be the crabs that hold you back into the bucket. And that's the worst thing, man, just letting someone else make a decision for you. Um, so anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So if you're looking to start a business, get out of your 9 to 5. What the biggest thing you got to focus on is your mindset, okay? Because if you have an employee mindset, it's gonna be a lot tougher to jump to the entrepreneurial ship than if you start to, feed your mind with good stuff, feed your mind with good content on YouTube or wherever else, whatever other platform you can find it, and start to talk to people who have businesses. They'll give you ideas of how to, start your business, how to set it up, what to look for, because business in itself is hard. You know, it's if it was easy, everyone would do it. But the fact that it's hard makes it even more worth it when you succeed. So anyway, I hope the best for you, and I hope this helps. And I'll talk to you on the next video.